Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for this week with today's Monday's Musings. Gosh, there's so much coming in and I'm actually struggling to get comfortable, which feels like the essence this week, to maybe ditch the idea of being comfortable, or at least look at what our framework of comfortability actually includes. And even that, I have no idea where this is going, and it's about trusting that. So for the most part, hand on heart, I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at, even if I'm walking around the shops or whatever, I'm one of those stop, drop, heel type people. Whatever is asked of me, I am 99.9% the first person at the front line doing whatever is needed. And for the most part, not even really sharing half of the stuff that I do. This morning I really felt a wobble with that. I felt a wobble with being recognised for that from myself. And I felt a wobble with being able to do it for everybody else in every other situation apart from myself. And that feels like the key this week, where the uncomfortableness is going to come from. Looking at how we treat others in comparison to how we treat ourselves. Not other people, but how we treat ourselves. So when it comes to any spiritual work, any healing or whatever, I can just literally get out the way. With these Monday's Musings, with readings, I can take things to a higher perspective. I'm still there, obviously, of course, to a higher perspective, and allow all different angles to come through. When I feel things, whole different matter when it comes to me on a human, more personal level. So an example of this morning, the daily guidance really confused me because the message was it's not about what we want to see but what is true. It's not about other people, in particular other masculine energies, but our own, and that it was time to wake up and smell the coffee. And of course these kind of hard-hitting messages caused quite a reaction within my body. It felt very harsh, it felt very disciplined, and I didn't want to hear it, right? I didn't want to hear it, and I couldn't make sense of it. I was trying to find a reason behind what I felt, a reason behind the insights that were coming through and the messages. I never do this when it comes to a reading for somebody else. I never do this when it comes to a healing for somebody else. But there is work to be done in regards to my own messages for myself, and trusting that. And it's a work in progress, and it's something we all go through. But this week feels like there's going to be a lot coming to light. We're coming up for the new moon in Aries, but also the solar eclipse, really blocking out that light and causing a ring of fire, okay, in regards to our own identity. So I have an ascendant in Aries, so that is what people see. Assumptions, how people see me, and that feels very poignant. The other aspect is it's very poignant to me. Whether or not it would be poignant to other people is down to their journey. That feels like the other underlying current this week, to really recognize what you're sharing and its relevance to yourself first before we go, oof, here's our opinion. So why? We've done this. We look at our own work, and we can be so certain that actually it's a collective message to be shared, and in reality, is there any difference between individual and collective, and blah 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 blah. Why do we need to pull it apart? Why do we need to fine-tune these energies? Well, it is about leveling up. So today, when I turned on the screen, I had a message from HP, which is the maker, obviously, of my laptop, but always reminds me of the High Priestess, or the Hierophant, the High Priest in the tarot. And the message was that I needed to upgrade, or that my computer needed to upgrade, that it was recommended the connection be upgraded. Now, the High Priestess and the Hierophant in the tarot is very much about those lessons. It's very much about the inner wisdom that we've gained from them, but taking them to the next level now, the sacredness, and how we choose to keep that and create from that this week. And I really, really feel that above my third eye. My third eye was up there then. So there's some kind of evolution occurring here, where our vision, our third eye and our crown chakra are almost merging to one, and it feels related to a triangle here, lower down actually. So it's all of them. So chakras here, chakra here, and it's upgrading, which aligning, connecting. I hear truth and productivity, the words coming through here. And it could be in relation to AI, but also looking at the technology in ourselves that is being upgraded and the intelligence behind that. It feels like that's almost confusing the situation. We're confusing the situation here. Okay, so let's stop that for a moment. Let's go back to what the original message was, and that feels like key to always go back to the original message, which is what we felt, right? The original sensation, the original inner sight here, the original connection when we feel something, our emotions. That is our spirit connecting with our physical body. That is a union. That is ascension. That is embodiment. And if we are not going to pay attention to that, then everything we do is going to be on a, I want to say parboiled level. I don't know where I'm getting the word parboiled from, but not to its potential. I wanted to say potassium there. So there's a lot coming in about the minerals, the vitamins, everything being upgraded in relation to our crystalline body this week. Everything being upgraded, and to really hold space for that. So the last few days I felt like a virus type energy. Now it's not the virus energy, and I've managed to really keep it at bay by just observing my temperature. And for me it's quite nice because I'm always cold, so it's like a transformative fire within my body, which is quite pleasant actually, because I'm allowing it to be what it needs to be. There are times when I think, oh, I feel terrible, but that's in comparison to how I used to feel. So that being the key this week, obviously not letting this replace any medical treatment that you might need or any medical advice or guidance. If you're not sure, go to your doctor. But recognizing that we may be feeling uncomfortable in comparison to where we were because things have changed. We are changing, we are evolving, we are stretching, we are growing. Okay, right down to our mineral core here. In regards to all of this, so I want to take us back to the original message about mind blank. Why are we being asked to fine tune what we share? Really taking that time, allowing the excess to go, not rehashing things that are no longer required. Getting to the point. So this morning, the energy, I struggled with it because it came across as quite harsh. It can almost come across as vindictive this week, unempathic, but this is empathy that we have become accustomed to, that we believe is empathy, when actually I hear higher good and I hear tough love here this week. And it did cause a knee-jerk reaction in me based on my own upbringing, based on my own beliefs, based on my own insecurities here in regards to being that person that gets straight to the point and not wanting to hurt people's feelings. So really looking at any uncomfortableness this week and seeing where it actually comes from, really fine-tuning that, because if we fine-tune the triggers, if we fine-tune the shadow, if we really listen to what's going on, we can then receive and fine-tune the treasure that is underneath. So I know for a fact that I have an ability to get straight to the point, and I know that I can avoid that in regards to my own stuff. Not when it comes to reading, not when it comes to healing. You know, passing on the moon eye key rights this weekend was just incredible. It just came through so quickly and so beautifully. But when it comes to my own stuff, or in particular those very close to me, I can kind of beat around the bush. And what really feels like is being asked this week is a vulnerability to say it as it is, to wake up and smell the coffee for yourself, to really acknowledge what you feel. When something happens, when you are uncomfortable, why are you uncomfortable? What is there to be gained from this experience? Why are we fine-tuning this? Well, we are being asked to look at the world that we are actually creating, what it is we are buying into, what it is we are investing our time and our energy into, and taking responsibility for that. So this morning, I took my dog for a walk. I'm very, very good at not investing in things that I don't believe in, whether that's paying a certain amount for an object of food that I could cook at home, or, you know, very, very good at thinking about the world that I'm creating. I love certain shoes and certain boots, but because of their ethos, I will not buy them. So really looking at the under energy of what it is you're investing in this week, and the impact that that has on the very vision that you are trying to create. So this morning I took my dog for a walk. My dog is just my life. He's, you know, what wouldn't I do for my dog? I absolutely adore him because of the loyalty there, because of the unconditional love. And that's key. It can be very hard. We can feel as if we have to almost become less authentic with the unconditional love and loyalty that we have to others when it comes to putting our own needs forward this week, and also what it is we are trying to create. So I took my dog for a walk and we went up the hill, and as we were coming back down, he has a habit of eating the feces of other dogs, which really, really annoys me. One, because it makes him poorly. Two, it's like consuming someone else's shit, right? So that triggers me because I can relate to that. Yeah, I can relate to carrying other people's crap. But also a lack of responsibility of the dog owners to pick up the feces. Now, I have tried everything with my dog. I've told him off. I've praised him when he doesn't. I've kept him on a lead. I've ignored him. You name it, I have done it. But this morning he was having a real feast, okay, on our walk. And what really got to me was the fact that he wasn't listening, okay? The fact that he wasn't hearing what I was trying to get across to him. That feels like key in regards to the masculine this week, but also our own actions. Are they aligned with what it is we are trying to get across? So at one point I got caught up in the energy of it's other people's responsibility to pick it up. He's making himself poorly, fine-tuning that vibration this week in a clear, solid no, or yes, or whatever that may be. So I'm tapping here. So for those that do EFT, the karate chop here is a real point of reprogramming. This week is a real point of reprogramming, okay, of no, actually, or yes, actually, with ourselves. So walking my dog, walking him back down the hill, and he just totally out of character ran across the road. Thankfully we're by fields when we were going for our walk and there was no cars coming, but you know, he normally waits for me to see that everything's okay, and it ran across the road, wouldn't listen to a single word that I was saying. And by the time I caught up with him, my anger had just got pretty intense. And I put him on the lead, and you know, I'm trying to explain to him why I was angry, as you do, to your wolfhound. And by the time I got home, I was quite emotional. So I sat with it, and I sat with what I felt, and I delved through the old stories of he didn't listen, he wasn't safe, my responsibility, blah blah blah. And actually, I had a problem with disciplining my dog. I had a problem. I felt such guilt for saying you don't do that. Instead it was like because of because of. Actually this week it's being okay with not being okay with something. Okay. How many times can I say okay? And that feels quite relevant. How many times can we say okay before we actually act? Because it's about the world that we're creating. I do not want a world where my dog can run across the road and get run over. I do not want a world where my dog is eating the feces of other dogs and making himself poorly. So really looking at what we're creating this week, but being okay with taking responsibility for that, and being okay with acknowledging what our role is and what our role isn't, and getting to the point and being quite disciplined in that energy, streamlining and focusing that, because it feels like a more artificial intelligence, but not artificial. It's not artificial. It's an intelligence that we know, and it is masculine, and it feels very much about connecting to that higher energy when it comes to ourselves. There's still things that need to be undone. There's still some confusion. We're not quite there yet, and that's where we're getting that lack of comfort. That's where we're getting that almost conflict within us, and it's essential to provide a tipping point, okay, of our situation. It's almost a necessary discomfort. So taking care of yourself this week, really looking after yourself, nurturing yourself, self-care. What do I need to continue being what it is being asked of me, whether that's passing on moon key rights, taking my dog for a walk, doing my work, whatever. What do I need? And then going out and getting it, right? So, okay, is there anything else? It does feel like it's important not to sugarcoat things. And that's where the artificial intelligence can come from. I've just drunk some tea, and in that I had to put honey in because it did feel like a little bit of a shock. It did feel like there's a bit of an aftershock actually occurring at the moment. But it needs to be genuine substance that's helping us ground, not sugar, not sweetener. it needs to be something healing and thick and nurturing and soft and gentle this week in order to ground us. Anything else on that? And almost, I feel like when we allow ourselves to drink of the nectar, that's what I feel, drink of the nectar of life. When we allow ourselves to actually open up to what it is we're trying to receive, everything just slows down. Everything is quite beautiful and tender and sweet this week. It may not feel like it with a solar eclipse. It may not feel like it with a new moon in Aries. But it's really looking at the sacred masculine, really looking at the light of the emperor in the tarot, the gentle giant, the peaceful warrior, that kind of energy. We can state our case without hurting people, ourselves included, this week, and that feels quite poignant. I could almost leave it there. Once we allow this gentle energy to come through, it doesn't feel so uncomfortable. It feels familiar. It doesn't feel so artificial. It feels almost as if this is where we were always headed. This was part of the vision. So this weekend, when I passed on the Moon Eye Key, 16 minutes ago, when I passed on the Moon Eye Key, I just felt like, why had I waited so long? It felt like home. It felt like this was what I was supposed to be doing. And it felt so natural and so beautiful and such incredible rites of passage and energy, but done with such ease. And literally all I had to do was hold space for myself as a vessel. What was needed for myself and others flowed. And that is the potential by the end of this week. If we can hold space for the uncomfortableness, for the emotions that we may feel, for really, really looking at it and being responsible to the very world that we add to, rather than pointing fingers at others. I know there's a lot going on in the news with very well-renowned spiritual leaders. There's a lot going on in the news with opinions. Let's just say opinions, okay? And this week it's a real wonderful opportunity to look at our own opinions before we start pointing fingers at others. Okay, to look at the world we are building, in regards to the opinions that we are sharing, to look at what we are sharing, from where and why. Is it necessary? It's that saying, is it kind? I can't remember the whole saying, but it just feels like, is it necessary? Why are you sharing this? Why are you sharing this? So why am I sharing this? Well, the whole point of Monday's Musings is to look at the energy and see how we can best navigate that to create our greatest, highest good and potential. So let's do that now with the tarot cards. Let's get to the point. In a gentle, fun way, okay? So energies this week. Magician right at the bottom of the pack, and I could feel that really quite clear. Actually, I could feel that really quite clear, and what I see is almost like a fog trying to be cleared here. So I want to draw your attention to a necklace that I got from a car boot yesterday, and it's a child's necklace, and it really spoke to my inner child. And on there is a lightning bolt, but also a unicorn, and the energy for me was very light and Heyoka energy, right? The West, the thunder beings, the sacred clown. Really embracing that energy this week in order to carry forward what it is we are trying to achieve. So if we are going to be the magician, as above, so below, look at the world we are creating. Look at what we are buying into. Look at what we are investing in, right down to our core beliefs. Me, disciplining my dog today because I want him to be safe, and the guilt that I felt afterwards. So really looking at what we're doing, but more importantly, the energy behind it. Okay, if we want to be not taken seriously, I don't like the word taken seriously, but if we want to be seen for the powerful beings that we are, it is time that we look at the energy, the current that runs through us, and why. Okay, and how we best share that this week, how we best manifest with that. Right, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, there's 2 for overall. Okay, so as I'm putting out the cards this week, I'm just getting this heavier energy of, my God, I'm tired. My God, I'm tired. Now I am tired anyway, because today's been quite an emotional day, and I can't pinpoint why, and it doesn't matter. There are reasons there. Yeah, I don't like the word excuses. There are reasons there. I spent the whole of last night in my dream time in Italy sending healing to the land, which was a privilege and honour. Don't know why, it really doesn't matter. It's what was being asked of me, which is key this week. If we want to keep that power the way that it is, not pulling it apart too much. Okay. The other thing, I have this underlying virus thing, whatever it may be, this transformation, whatever it may be, huge up leveling this weekend with the Moon Nike, massive up leveling, of course, because I'd gone from somebody that had received the Moon Nike rights and was working with them to somebody that was now teaching them and sharing them and passing them forward. And that is, if we can recognize that's what's occurring, we are leveling up from someone that has received the lessons to someone that is going to help others discover them in themselves. We are becoming part of the lineage, okay? And if we can recognize that this week and take care of ourselves from that level, yeah, it's going to be a lot smoother sailing. Yes, I also felt quite emotional. It was my brother's birthday today. I felt quite emotional about my mother. There was so much coming up about the masculine, and my brother's name is Adam, the original masculine energy that we're so used to, and it was all up here. It doesn't matter. That's not to say it's not relevant. That's not to say it's not important. Really looking at how things feel this week. Otherwise, we're going to get very tired very, very quick. We're going to blow a fuse. That's what I hear. We're going to blow a fuse. So my shower's leaking at the moment, and there's that constant emotional drip, drip, drip. That's almost like a torture going on in my house at the moment on all levels, and I can really feel that. So really looking out for the messages from the universe this week that are reflecting back where you're at and what you may need to do about it. I know I need to contact the landlord, and there's some anxiety there because not wanting to rock the boat, right? We have a roof over our head, and I know, it's all that thing of lack. Okay, so in particular this week, it's that's going to cause the tiredness. In particular this week, it's still seeing ourselves from where we used to be and not where we actually are is going to cause the conflict, which is going to be necessary to an extent for that tipping point, but also it's going to cause quite a need to go within. So we do have the solar eclipse, but we also have Mercury just about to go backwards. Okay, so yes, this week we are going to see where we may have put our own light out. Yes, this week we are going to see where we have perhaps not put our own needs first. Yes, this week we are going to see, dark nights of the soul, those moments where there's literally a ring of light we can just about visualize in a situation. But Mercury is also going to go backwards. So we may not have to do anything about them. We may not have to do anything about these insights, but merely hold space for them. Okay, and look at the support that we have around us to do that, ourselves included, because on the Monday we have the Three of Pentacles here. Now there's a real silence required when it comes to today's energy on the Monday. There's a real going within when it comes to looking at what it is we are creating, looking at the people in our lives, whether or not that aligns with what it is we are trying to be part of, whether we align with what we are trying to be part of. Okay, really, really acknowledging that this week. No one wants to do that, right? No one wants to know where we may need to up our game. And it can be very, very easy, particularly on the Tuesday, to go, well, actually, do you know what? And this is where the quietness, the silence is needed on the Monday. Because on the Tuesday, if not, we can go, do you know what? Actually, you're not adding what is needed. And actually, this situation is doing X, Y, and Z. And actually, did a Tuesday, my fire just went, take time. Take time to go within, to feel what's going on in your body before we act in a defensive way. On hindsight with my dog this morning, rather than be like, oh, you shouldn't run across the road, I can look back now and think, actually, I could have just said, don't do that, and be okay with it and stand firm in that. And I wouldn't have needed to explain. I wouldn't have needed to give reasons or excuses for what was needed in that moment. So on the Tuesday, there's a great opportunity to go within from that heart space there and to be firm in this. But there's also great potential to be defensive with it, or that it may need to come from a defensive action. Again, it's recognizing that tipping point, because on the Wednesday we have the 5 of Wands. This is that up leveling that's coming. Okay, that the tower has been knocked down for this year. That's not to say that it won't happen again, because it's actually the card for Thursday. That's not to say that the tower moment won't happen again, but the tower moment can also be the recognition that we need to rebuild. And in order to do that, we need to recognize where we're not comfortable, where things aren't working, and feel that stress, feel that fire, feel that ignition, that passion within us, and look at perhaps the labels that we have given it. So the 5 of Wands, yes, a lot of people see it as stress, a lot of people see it as interference, a lot of people see it as a halfway mark. What feels like key on Wednesday is, how do you feel about this fire that you're feeling? So 17, 18, 19, right before the solar eclipse, how do you feel about your own light? How do you feel about your own needs, your own desires, your own passions? Yes, do you feel bad for wanting things to be a certain way, or the world that you're trying to create? Do you feel as if it's everyone else's responsibility, like I do with the dog poo? Where are you at? Wednesday, there's a great opportunity to see what the hell is going on for you and your life. But it is about being true and about being honest. Okay, and it's not just going to be from a psychic sense. It's not just going to be from what we see. It's not just going to be from the higher good of our Alta Major from here. It's all of it together in one big massive triangle, the masculine, the feminine united. How are we being asked to be of service? Can we get out of the way and allow the help that needs to come in to achieve that? Including our own emotions and our own feelings. On the Thursday, we have the Tower card. So it is the first major arcana other than the Magician overall. We have the Tower card, and there needs to be those moments, that lightning bolt, those heyoka moments. And I love how this is the only necklace I have that's really quite tight to my throat. And this morning I had to sit with that. How did I feel about having gentle pressure here, not to the point where, I was almost being strangled or gagged, but just gentle pressure here between my throat and my higher heart, to just, 1, ground me down, but 2, almost make me have to lift my head up and open my throat a little bit more. Now that feels like the energy Thursday. Incredible connotations going on in my head there, but that feels like the energy Thursday, that being okay with what's trying to come through, being okay with the messages that are trying to come through, rather than, I hear the word gag order, not being able to actually speak our own truth this week to ourselves, rather than, again, pointing fingers at others. I could quite easily say, well, other people are stopping us from saying what we want to say, and, well, actually, I'm going to turn the comments off on my videos, and, well, actually, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and all of these are our prerogative. They really, really are, and they're all part of the world that we want to create on all levels. Okay, so really, really looking at how we empower others to speak, ourselves included, is going to be the turning point on Thursday. It's going to be the realization of, oh gosh, okay, so yeah, maybe I need to up my game a little bit there. And we always do, right? So I know from passing on the moon IKEA, I've gone from being the top of this game, my game here, my level here, to the bottom of the next level. Oh, no one wants to be there. It's so much easier and nicer and egotistically wonderful to be the top of our game, right? Rather than the bottom of our game and having to, open up, expand. But that's growth. Okay, that's growth. And that is the potential that we have for the whole of this week, because on the Friday, we have the Sun card. Lighten it up. We're all twats. We can all be a bit, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I'm doing this again. Lighten it up. We're all children. We're all learning. I think if we knew our potential the moment we came here, I don't know how embodied that would be, to be honest. I don't know how sacred that would be. Sometimes, it's the collaboration of what it is we discover and the tipping points of change that help us really ignite that vision within us. And Friday, yeah, that's what I feel here. Keeping it balanced. Keeping it balanced, because yes, marvelous. So what do we have? 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so it's the day after the solstice, but that energy is going to continue. So it's almost like the solstice. Okay, from now until the solstice, it's almost like the solar eclipse. I can't get the solstice out of my head. The solar eclipse is almost going to be like a two-parter. Okay, so whatever occurs on the Wednesday, know that it's putting things in place from now until the solstice in June. But also know that on the Wednesday, it could feel like the end of the fucking world as we know it. And on the Thursday, it's like, oh, thank God that happened. This is who I am. This is who I really am. Okay. And that's not just on the Thursday and Friday. That's life if we allow ourselves to feel these things. If we allow ourselves to go with the flow, the fire. It's not even flow this week. If we allow ourselves to go with the passion, the drives, the fire, the transformation that is occurring, the masculine. If we open and receive that this week, you can see that in the Sun card. Yeah, she's just receiving the light, receiving the masculine, taking that on board. On the Saturday, again, it's about keeping it in balance, because on the Saturday, we do have the 10 of Wands, okay? But the tiredness here feels like it's down to what we choose to carry forward. Now, this is so cliche, and this is old hat, and yet on the Sunday, it's this that we have been fooling ourselves, blinding ourselves to, okay? It's this that we have, now I've changed the order of them actually, over the weekend. Let the weekend mold into one, because it's going to, if you try and separate anything that happens over the weekend, it's going to become overwhelming, okay? And it's going to blind us to the bigger picture that is occurring here. When I do that, when I combine the Saturday and the Sunday together as one, I can then look over the cards as a whole narrative. This isn't about one situation. You may feel as if on the Thursday and Friday something happens that changes your life. Actually, it feels like it's been building for a long, long, long time. And that tipping point has been reached. And, I know there's the 144,000 souls, and there's the new world, and there's a lot of information out there. And it's all relevant. I'm not saying that it's not. It's all relevant. What I can see now is the Pi Stone. The Pi Stone from the Moon Key in the centre of the Sun here. It's all relevant. So are you. So are you. So is your journey. So is everything that you've gone through, and your own tipping points. They're so needed. They're so relevant. What makes you think you're not one of the 144,000 souls? What makes you think you're not here to create that new world and that vision? What makes you think that, or feel that something you feel is right or wrong, and stop that spark before it even has a chance to be the magic? It could very well be. And I can definitely take that on board myself. And, I think for the most part, 99.9% of the time, we've all got really good at this, of just acknowledging, actually, yeah, this is where I'm needed, this is what I need to do, trusting my intuition. But it's that last bit, it's that last level here, it's that last part of embodiment. And once we do that, that tiredness, once we recognise the fact that we've been blind to our own light and the changes that need to occur in our own life in regards to those tipping points, okay, and being okay with who we are, and being okay and recognised in what it is we bring to the world. Once we can see that, once we can unblind ourselves to that, we're going to move forward from it all feeling too much. It feels too much because we're doing it from a level that we're no longer at. Okay, so really recognising that this week. So, overall, 33 minutes. Overall, the energy is the Lovers and the Eight of Pentacles. Choices this week. The work that is required. Deciding the Eden you want to create. Now, I had to really wait for that. I had to really wait, and actually it feels like many people have had to really wait and almost giving in. Almost, and there's no judgment. There's no judgment here, but almost taking less than what it is we want this week or leading up to this week has got us where we are. So it's all how we choose to look at it. Okay, it's all a decision of how we want to look at everything that has occurred in our life. The Eight of Pentacles, yes, it's to do with work. Yes, it's to do with, graft and everything else, but it's also to do with mastery. 8 is mastery. So do we see it as hard work? Do we see it as a labor of love? Do we see it as, I've done this, I've done that, I've got all this work to do, now I've got to grow, now I've got to do, or do we see it as a great opportunity to master what is occurring for us as we think about the world that we want to create, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a job, whether that's the world, whatever that may be, okay? And what do we need in order to turn it from hard work to a labor of love this week? What do we need, okay, from a self-care perspective? So I'm going to break it down, and that feels like key. Break down the major arcana and the minor arcana. So break down the energies that support us on a universal level, and then our actions. Really looking at the insights that are around us, okay, and how we react to them this week is going to be key, because we have the Magician, the Lovers, the Sun, and the Tower. And I want to almost put them in order that they came out. And that feels important. When did the insights happen? What order? And, if we can break that down, it's going to make a big, big difference in how we react to what is happening. Okay, so we can go, oh my God, I lost everything. Actually, what was going on before then? What was occurring before then? Okay, because that is going to give you the bigger picture of how to cope and make the most of the situation right now. That's going to help us transmute this energy and become the magicians that we are. So, as above, so below. What did you ask for? However long ago it was. What did you... I remember asking for a horse many years ago, as a child even. And yeah, that could be applicable. What did you ask for as a child? What did you want as a child? Or when you're in a childlike state, ask from there this new moon in Aries. What do you want from a childlike, innocent state, without the attachments, without the, I can't ask for this, or that won't happen, or if I ask for that, that will happen, without any of that. What brings light to your soul? What did you ask for, and how can you ask for that from that position? Okay, that's going to cause a big shift, a big lightning bolt of, yes. So what I actually asked for was true, undying, devoted love on a soul level. That's why these relationships aren't working. Or, really, really looking at that to get that aha moment, and to also know that everything that we're asking for is a step towards that and the world that we're trying to create. Because then we can open up a little bit more to what's going on. We can open up a little bit more to the light. We can open up a little bit more to the actions that are being asked of us. Okay, we can see that, yes, it might feel uncomfortable, but actually the more we open our heart space, the more we open our vision, the more we can then see who we are. And from that level, what we're asking of is us. Because then we have the Lovers, and from that space we can see that everything that we are choosing or deciding is a reflection of where we're at. And that can be, oh my God, that can be really harsh. It doesn't mean it's not true. And this week, really looking at that with our own emotions, really looking at that with informational insights that are coming through, it may feel as if it goes straight to our heart like a lightning bolt. And, really makes us look at where we're at and what brings us joy and happiness and what it is we are creating. And it may feel, I don't like that. That doesn't mean it's not true this week. So if we can step back from taking it too personally and dive deeper, why did this have that reaction in me? Gosh, there is so much magic to be gained there. So much magic. That's the support from the universe this week. So when we look at our own roles in this, now what I feel is the work is going to come by keeping that in order, by keeping ourselves in order this week. So I'm really tempted to move the minor arcanas all over the place. Blah, 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 blah. Actually, structure is key this week, even though it feels like there's no point having structure, there's no point having routine, there's no point building things that just get knocked down, or there's no point doing It's actually key this week, because then we can recognize that what we have built is solid. Even the stuff that hasn't worked has still been solid in what it is we have gained from that and how we have grown and what it is we have mastered on the physical levels. Okay, so yes, again, this is work and blah, 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 blah. What does it mean to you this week? That's what's going to be important. What does any of the insight mean to you physically? How can you apply that? How can you embody that? Is it even relevant? And if it isn't, for the love of whatever you believe in, stop going backwards. Stop going backwards. Look at what is in front of you. Stop feeding the energy of a world that you no longer want to be part of. That's not to say you ignore it. That's not to say you bypass it. You can be aware of what's going on. You can send it healing. You can, acknowledge what is going on within yourself, which is the greatest healing that situation can ever ask for, and then just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep moving forward here. What makes it hard work is the taking on more than we need, more than what we need. So when we call up sacred space from the Peruvian tradition, when we call up the energies of Pachamama, we say along the lines of the natural cycle of life to take only that we require and give back that which is no longer needed. That includes responsibility, that includes worrying about other people, that includes getting involved in energies that make you feel icky and horrible and being aware of how you're adding to that through your own suffering. Being very aware of that this week. What message are you trying to get out there? What message are you being asked to get out there? And be firm in that. Okay, only take that is needed. It's not your role to speak for other people. It's not. And it's what do I do? Well, that could be the very thing that we've been avoiding all along. What do we do for ourselves? What is being asked of us to do? Okay, that's the biggest self-care thing that we can do, right? So, recognizing who we are in the web of the stories being told is key this week. And we might not want to see it. We might not want to see it. We might want to turn our cheek, or we might be being asked to turn the other cheek. Yes. Either way, we can't outrun what is occurring, but we can be aware of what's happening within us. We can't outrun what is occurring within us. And it feels like we've almost been trying to be blinded to that. This week is going to come to light. This week, the shadow within us all is going to be seen. Okay, because we're going to have that ring of fire. We're going to have that light that makes that shadow so obvious to us and to everybody else. Okay, and it's time. It's been too much. Trying to hide this has been too much. And if it's that unconditional love and loyalty, it's going to come to light this week. How unconditionally can we love ourselves? How loyal can we be to ourselves this week? Because that will monitor, obviously, how unconditionally we can be with others and how loyal we can be with others. That's embodiment, right? So what do we have? 1, 2. My fire did on just as I'm moving the wand cards. So we have 2 pentacle cards. I want to go to the wands, and it feels really important to keep going to the wands, the spiritual energy behind this, the drive behind this, the passion behind this, the fire behind this. Okay, so by getting defensive, we're going to build an inner conflict, which can be necessary for the tipping point, but remembering that the tipping point is going to make us feel quite tired with what it is we are carrying forward, tired with the repetition, and that's the whole point of the bloody tipping point, is for us to go, no. That's where that defensive energy can be really used, okay, to go, no, to ourselves as well. I'm not going back there. I've done that. Thank you very much. Okay, and I feel uncertainty there. I feel like, but have I? Well, if you have, you'll move on, and if you haven't, you won't. Really keeping it, not getting in the headspace too much this week, because it's that's blinding us. And you'll be able to feel, okay? You'll be able to feel if there's anything else for you to discover. So yes, I will give an example. A couple of days ago, there's some situations in my life that I've been holding on to, and I've done healing around them. I've forgiven. I've looked at everything from all different angles. I'm aware that it's a spiral of evolution and, it's ceremony, and I'm good. I'm really, really good with the things that have happened, but I haven't been able to stop carrying them in my own energetic field, no matter what I've done. And that's important to recognize this week, that the healing will only occur when you are ready. So have fun with it, for starters, and just take the pressure off of yourself trying to shift through all these things, okay? But what really clicked for me was my own role in the situation. Now, this is obvious, right? But if you are having concerns with a particular scenario in your life, really looking at it from all different angles is incredibly beneficial. But don't forget to include your own, and to listen. Just listen as a witness to yourself of how you felt in that situation, what you wished you could have done, what you've not included in the narrative when you maybe speak of it or think about it, because there you're going to get some of your greatest insights this week. There you're going to get the peace, because the other side of the Two of Swords, yes, we can be blinded, but we can also be at peace with this nagging in our heads, okay? And that is a great potential. And from that perspective, we see how everything that has happened, everything that's collaborated in our life has helped us to master what is physically occurring and what it is we are about to create as a result. So it's a big, big week, but it can also be done in a moment. It's going to feel like that really conflicting energy of expanding and contracting all week. So what one thing, I hear keep it simple. Yeah. Six of Pentacles. How do we keep it simple? We make sure that we are getting what we need before we help others. We make sure that the balance is there, the harmony is there physically, self-care, self-love. That's the one thing that is needed this week to avoid the defensiveness. We don't have to get to breaking point before we say, actually, I need some time out. Actually, things need to change, because we have the Eight of Pentacles again back under there. Actually, maybe this way of working isn't working. And being honest about that. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm not going to pull any more cards because that's enough now. That'll do. Take care. Have a wonderful week.